Have you ever wondered why one of the world's most consumed beverages is also consistently linked with living a longer, healthier life? What if your morning cup of coffee isn't just waking you up, but quietly influencing your metabolism, protecting your brain, supporting your liver, and even reducing your risk of dying from some of the world's biggest chronic diseases? It sounds almost too good to be true. After all, coffee has been blamed for everything from anxiety to high blood pressure. For years, many people believed it was something to limit or even avoid altogether. But here's what the research actually shows. Over the past 2 decades, scientists have analyzed millions of people across hundreds of studies, and the overall pattern has become remarkably consistent. Moderate coffee consumption is associated with a lower risk of all-cause mortality, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, liver disease, Parkinson's disease, and several other chronic conditions. The strongest associations are generally seen around 3 to 4 cups per day, although individual tolerance matters. Importantly, these findings come primarily from observational research, which shows association rather than proving cause and effect, but the consistency across populations makes the evidence difficult to ignore. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Coffee isn't simply a source of caffeine. It's a complex mixture containing hundreds of biologically active compounds, including chlorogenic acids, polyphenols, diterpenes, and antioxidants. These compounds interact with your liver, brain, blood vessels, immune system, and even your gut microbiome. In many ways, coffee acts less like a stimulant and more like a nutritional signal that influences how your cells respond to stress, inflammation, and energy production. But, and this is the part most people miss, not all coffee habits are created equal. The type of coffee you drink, when you drink it, what you add to it, how you brew it, and even your genetics can determine whether coffee becomes a tool for better health or a hidden obstacle to better sleep, stable blood sugar, and healthy aging. In this complete guide, I'm going to separate myths from science. We'll explore what the latest research tells us about coffee and longevity, why timing may be just as important as quantity, how coffee affects insulin, cortisol, fat burning, and brain function, and the practical habits that allow you to enjoy coffee while supporting your long-term health, not sabotaging it. And if you're serious about optimizing your metabolism naturally using evidence instead of hype, consider subscribing. Every week, we break down complex health science into practical strategies you can actually use. Let's begin with the question that has surprised scientists for years. How can one simple beverage be linked to a longer life? At first glance, it doesn't seem to make sense. Coffee contains caffeine, a stimulant that temporarily raises heart rate and increases alertness. For decades, many assumed that drinking coffee every day would eventually wear the body down. But the opposite is what researchers have repeatedly observed. What the research shows is that people who drink coffee regularly, particularly around 2 to 4 cups per day, tend to have a lower risk of dying from all causes compared with people who don't drink coffee at all. Even more interesting, this protective association has been observed across different countries, age groups, ethnicities, and dietary patterns. Scientists have also found lower rates of type 2 diabetes, fatty liver disease, liver cirrhosis, cardiovascular disease, Parkinson's disease, and several forms of cancer among moderate coffee drinkers. Now, let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your body is like a busy city. Every day, millions of tiny factories inside your cells are producing energy. But just like factories create waste, your cells also produce harmful byproducts called free radicals. If too much waste builds up, roads become blocked, buildings begin to deteriorate, and the entire city becomes less efficient. In your body, that waste is known as oxidative stress and chronic inflammation, two of the biggest drivers of aging and chronic disease. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Coffee is one of the richest sources of antioxidants in many people's diets. It contains chlorogenic acids, polyphenols, and other plant compounds that help neutralize oxidative stress and activate your body's own defense systems. These compounds appear to improve the way cells respond to inflammation, support healthy blood vessels, protect nerve cells, and help the liver perform its critical detoxification and metabolic functions more efficiently. Another important mechanism involves your liver, the metabolic powerhouse of the body. Your liver regulates blood sugar, processes fats, stores nutrients, and removes toxins. Numerous studies consistently show that regular coffee consumption is associated with a significantly lower risk of fatty liver disease, liver fibrosis, cirrhosis, and even liver cancer. In other words, one of coffee's greatest longevity benefits may come from protecting one of your body's most important organs. But here's an important point. Coffee isn't a magic bullet. Drinking coffee cannot cancel out a poor diet, chronic sleep deprivation, smoking, or a sedentary lifestyle. Instead, think of coffee as one piece of a much larger metabolic puzzle. When combined with nutrient-dense food, regular movement, quality sleep, stress management, and maintaining a healthy body composition, coffee may amplify many of those healthy habits. This is why focusing on root causes matters. Longevity isn't created by a single supplement or one miracle food. It's created by reducing inflammation, improving metabolic flexibility, protecting your organs, and supporting healthy cellular function every single day. Coffee simply happens to be one of the few everyday beverages that appears to contribute to several of those processes at once. And if you're finding this breakdown helpful so far, consider subscribing. Every day, we explore the science behind metabolism, nutrition, healthy aging, and practical strategies you can apply immediately to help your body perform at its best for years to come. Now that we understand why coffee is linked to longevity, let's answer an even more important question. What is coffee actually doing inside your body? Because if you only think of coffee as caffeine, you're missing most of the story. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Think of your metabolism like a hybrid car. It has two primary fuel sources: glucose from carbohydrates and fat stored in your body. Your ability to switch efficiently between these fuels is called metabolic flexibility, and it's one of the hallmarks of healthy aging. Coffee influences this system in several fascinating ways. Let's start with the brain. Caffeine temporarily blocks adenosine, a molecule that builds up throughout the day and makes you feel sleepy. Imagine adenosine as tiny parking attendants slowly filling every available parking space in your brain. By evening, there are very few open spaces left, so your brain naturally slows down. Caffeine temporarily blocks those parking attendants, allowing your brain to stay alert and focused, but that's only the beginning. Coffee also stimulates the release of adrenaline in moderate amounts. This signals your body to mobilize stored energy by releasing fatty acids from fat tissue, making them available to be burned as fuel. This is one reason coffee often improves exercise performance and can modestly increase fat oxidation, especially when combined with regular physical activity. However, many people misunderstand this effect. Coffee alone does not melt body fat. If insulin remains chronically elevated from frequent snacking, excess refined carbohydrates, or excessive calorie intake, fat burning is still limited. Coffee works best in a metabolically healthy environment where your body can efficiently access stored fat. Another remarkable area is insulin sensitivity. Research suggests that the polyphenols in coffee, particularly chlorogenic acids, may help improve glucose metabolism over time by slowing glucose absorption in the intestine, supporting insulin signaling, and reducing inflammation. Interestingly, caffeine may cause a temporary rise in blood sugar immediately after drinking coffee in some individuals, especially those with insulin resistance. But habitual coffee consumption is consistently associated with a lower long-term risk of developing type 2 diabetes. This highlights an important principle in physiology. Short-term effects and long-term adaptations are not always the same. Coffee also appears to benefit your gut microbiome. Your intestines are home to trillions of bacteria that influence immunity, inflammation, metabolism, and even brain health. The polyphenols in coffee act as fuel for many beneficial bacteria, encouraging a healthier microbial balance. A healthier gut can improve digestion, strengthen the intestinal barrier, reduce chronic inflammation, and support healthier metabolic function throughout the body. Finally, coffee activates several natural cellular defense pathways. Some researchers describe this as a mild beneficial stressor, a concept known as hormesis. Just like resistance training places controlled stress on your muscles to make them stronger, coffee's bioactive compounds may gently challenge your cells, encouraging them to produce more antioxidant enzymes, improve mitochondrial efficiency, and become more resilient over time. When you step back and look at the whole picture, coffee isn't simply providing energy for a few hours. It's interacting with multiple systems at once: your brain, liver, gut, blood sugar regulation, and cellular defense mechanisms. That's exactly why researchers believe its health effects extend far beyond the temporary boost you feel after your morning cup. One of the biggest mistakes people make with coffee isn't how much they drink, it's when they drink it. This is where biology matters far more than habit. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your body has an internal orchestra. Every organ, every hormone, and every metabolic process follows the same conductor, your circadian rhythm. If every instrument plays at the right time, the music is beautiful. But if one section starts playing hours late, the entire performance becomes chaotic. Your hormones work exactly the same way. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Within about 30 to 45 minutes after you wake up, your body naturally produces a surge of cortisol. Now, cortisol often gets a bad reputation, but in the morning, it's actually one of your healthiest hormones. It helps increase alertness, raises blood sugar just enough to fuel your brain, supports healthy blood pressure, and tells your body it's time to start the day. Many people reach for coffee the moment they open their eyes because they assume they have no energy without it. But if your natural cortisol is already doing its job, adding a large dose of caffeine immediately may simply pile stimulation on top of stimulation. Some people tolerate this well, while others experience jitteriness, anxiety, or an energy crash later in the morning. A practical strategy is to hydrate first Expose yourself to natural sunlight, move your body for a few minutes, and then enjoy your first cup of coffee about 60 to 90 minutes after waking. By allowing your natural cortisol peak to begin declining, you may achieve more stable energy while relying less on caffeine throughout the day. Timing also matters on the other end of the day. Caffeine has an average half-life of around 5 to 6 hours, although genetics, age, liver function, pregnancy, and certain medications can make it much longer. That means a cup of coffee at 3 p.m. may still leave roughly half of its caffeine circulating in your body at 8 or 9 p.m. Here's the problem: you may fall asleep anyway. But research shows caffeine can reduce deep sleep and REM sleep without you even realizing it. You wake up thinking you slept 8 hours, yet your brain and body didn't receive the full restorative benefits. Poor sleep then increases insulin resistance, elevates hunger hormones, reduces fat burning, and often leads to needing even more coffee the next morning. It's a cycle that quietly works against healthy aging. For most people, a good rule is to avoid caffeine within 8 to 10 hours of bedtime. If you're particularly sensitive, or if you're struggling with insomnia, anxiety, or unexplained fatigue, you may benefit from stopping even earlier. Think of coffee as a performance enhancer, not a substitute for sleep. When you align coffee with your body's natural clock instead of using it to fight against biology, you support healthier cortisol rhythms, better blood sugar regulation, improved cognitive performance, and deeper recovery. And that's exactly the kind of environment where long-term metabolic health and longevity can thrive. If this is helping you see coffee in a completely different way, consider subscribing. Every day, we break down the science of nutrition, hormones, and healthy aging into practical strategies you can apply immediately to improve your health naturally. Now let's talk about something that often gets overlooked. The healthiest coffee isn't determined only by what you drink, but by what you put into it and how you brew it. 2 cups of coffee can look almost identical, yet have completely different effects on your metabolism. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of coffee as a high-quality delivery truck carrying beneficial compounds to your cells. If the truck is loaded with healthy cargo, it supports your health. But if you fill the truck with sugar, artificial syrups, whipped cream, and ultra-processed creamers, you've changed the entire delivery. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Black coffee contains almost no calories and is naturally rich in polyphenols and antioxidants. But many commercial coffee drinks contain 300 to 600 calories, along with large amounts of added sugar. That sugar causes a rapid rise in blood glucose, followed by a large insulin response. Remember, insulin is your body's storage hormone. When insulin stays elevated repeatedly throughout the day, it becomes much harder for your body to access stored fat for energy. Over months and years, chronically high insulin can contribute to insulin resistance, fatty liver, weight gain, and increased inflammation, the exact metabolic problems we're trying to avoid. This doesn't mean everyone must drink black coffee. If adding a small amount of milk or unsweetened plant milk helps you enjoy coffee consistently, that's perfectly reasonable. Even a splash of heavy cream can fit into certain low-carbohydrate or ketogenic eating patterns. The key is avoiding excessive added sugars and highly processed flavorings that transform coffee into a dessert. Now let's discuss brewing methods because they matter more than most people realize. Coffee naturally contains compounds called cafestol and kawil. These plant compounds have some potentially beneficial biological properties, but cafestol can also raise LDL cholesterol in certain people when consumed in large amounts. Here's the interesting part. Paper-filtered coffee removes most of these compounds, while unfiltered methods such as French press, Turkish coffee, Scandinavian boiled coffee, and some espresso preparations retain much higher amounts. If you already have elevated LDL cholesterol or a strong family history of cardiovascular disease, choosing filtered coffee most of the time may be the better option. It's a simple adjustment that allows you to enjoy coffee while minimizing one potential downside. Quality matters too. Choose freshly roasted beans whenever possible, store them in an airtight container away from heat and light, and avoid burning your coffee. Extremely dark roasting can reduce some beneficial compounds and create a harsher flavor that often encourages people to add more sugar. And here's one more practical tip. Be mindful of what accompanies your coffee. Many people don't just drink coffee, they pair it with pastries, sweetened breakfast cereals, or refined baked goods. Over time, those foods, not the coffee itself, become the real driver of blood sugar spikes and metabolic dysfunction. Instead, pair your coffee with a protein-rich breakfast, healthy fats, or a high-fiber meal if you're eating in the morning. This combination promotes steadier blood sugar, greater satiety, and more consistent energy throughout the day. The takeaway is simple. Coffee can absolutely support longevity, but the healthiest cup is usually the simplest one. High-quality beans, minimal added sugar, an appropriate brewing method, and whole food nutrition alongside your coffee create a combination that works with your metabolism instead of against it. And if you've learned something new today, consider subscribing. Our goal is to help you make science-backed decisions that improve your health, not through extremes, but through small daily habits that compound over a lifetime. As we've seen, coffee has tremendous potential to support metabolic health and longevity, but there's one final principle that separates the science from the headlines. Coffee should be personalized. One person's perfect morning routine can be another person's source of poor sleep, anxiety, or blood sugar instability. The goal isn't to drink as much coffee as possible. The goal is to find the amount and timing that allows your body to thrive. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Think of your liver as your body's caffeine processing laboratory. An enzyme called CYP1A2 is responsible for breaking down most of the caffeine you consume. But not everyone has the same version of this enzyme. Some people are fast metabolizers. They clear caffeine efficiently and may comfortably enjoy 2 to 4 cups of coffee without affecting their sleep or blood pressure. Others are slow metabolizers. Even 1 or 2 cups can remain in their system for many hours, increasing the likelihood of jitters, elevated blood pressure, heart palpitations, or restless sleep. This difference is largely genetic, which explains why your friend can drink an espresso after dinner and sleep soundly while you're still wide awake after a mid-afternoon latte. This is why listening to your body's signals is just as important as following the research. There are also certain situations where extra caution is warranted. If you're pregnant, current medical guidelines generally recommend limiting caffeine intake to less than 200 milligrams per day, as excessive caffeine has been associated with pregnancy complications. If you have uncontrolled high blood pressure, certain heart rhythm disorders, severe anxiety, panic attacks, or chronic insomnia, caffeine may aggravate these conditions. Likewise, coffee can interact with some medications, including certain thyroid medications, osteoporosis treatments, and stimulant drugs. If you're taking prescription medications, it's worth discussing your caffeine intake with your healthcare provider. Now let's bring everything together into a practical longevity protocol you can start using today. Step 1, choose high-quality, preferably filtered coffee. Step 2, aim for about 2 to 4 cups per day if you tolerate caffeine well. This is the range most consistently associated with health benefits in large observational studies. More isn't necessarily better. Step 3, drink your first cup about 60 to 90 minutes after waking and avoid caffeine within 8 to 10 hours of bedtime. Step 4, keep your coffee simple, minimize added sugars and ultra-processed creamers, and focus on whole food nutrition throughout the rest of your day. Step 5, never use coffee to compensate for chronic sleep deprivation. If you're relying on caffeine just to function, the real problem is probably insufficient recovery, not insufficient coffee. Finally, remember the bigger picture. Coffee is a powerful supporting habit, but it works best alongside the fundamentals of healthy aging: strength training, regular walking, nutrient-dense meals, adequate protein, restorative sleep, stress management, and maintaining a healthy body composition. These lifestyle pillars work together, creating an environment where your metabolism becomes more resilient year after year. So here's my challenge for you. Over the next week, make just one change to your coffee routine. Delay your first cup, switch to filtered coffee, cut back on added sugar, or stop drinking caffeine earlier in the afternoon. Then pay attention to your energy, your sleep, your focus, and how you feel. Small changes repeated consistently often produce the biggest improvements over time. If this guide helped you understand coffee from a completely new perspective, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who starts every morning with a cup of coffee. You don't need complicated biohacks to support longevity. Sometimes, understanding the science behind one everyday habit is enough to change the trajectory of your health for years to come. Before we finish, let's bring everything together. At the beginning of this video, I asked a simple question: can coffee actually help you live longer? After looking at the science, the answer is surprisingly encouraging. Coffee is not a miracle drink, and it certainly isn't a substitute for healthy eating, regular exercise, quality sleep, or stress management. But when consumed wisely, it appears to be one of the most well-researched beverages in the world, consistently associated with better metabolic health and a lower risk of many chronic diseases. The reason becomes clear once you understand the physiology. Coffee isn't working through just one pathway, it's supporting several systems at the same time. It delivers powerful antioxidants that help reduce oxidative stress. It supports healthy liver function, one of the body's most important metabolic organs. It improves cellular resilience through natural hormetic pathways. It nourishes beneficial gut bacteria, enhances mental alertness, and when combined with an active lifestyle, can even support fat oxidation and physical performance. But perhaps the biggest lesson from today's guide is this: context matters more than coffee itself. A cup of black coffee after a good night's sleep is very different from 3 oversized sugary coffee drinks used to survive chronic sleep deprivation. The beverage may have the same name, but the metabolic outcome is completely different. That's why the healthiest coffee habit isn't about chasing more caffeine. It's about using coffee intentionally. Choose quality beans. Prefer filtered coffee if cholesterol is a concern. Keep added sugar to a minimum. Time your coffee so it works with your circadian rhythm instead of against it. And most importantly, let coffee complement a healthy lifestyle rather than compensate for an unhealthy one. Remember, longevity isn't built in dramatic moments. It's built through thousands of small decisions that you repeat every single day. Every nutritious meal, every walk after dinner, every strength training session, every night of quality sleep, and yes, even the way you enjoy your morning coffee. Those habits don't just add years to your life, they help add life to your years. So here's your challenge. Starting tomorrow morning, choose one strategy from this video and commit to it for the next 2 weeks. Maybe you'll delay your first cup by an hour. Maybe you'll replace a sugary coffee drink with black coffee or add less sweetener. Maybe you'll stop drinking caffeine after lunchtime and see how much better you sleep. Don't guess whether it's working. Pay attention to your body. Track your energy, your focus, your cravings, your sleep quality, and how you feel throughout the day. Your body is constantly giving you feedback. You simply need to learn how to listen. If this video helped simplify the science and gave you practical tools you can actually use, I'd really appreciate your support. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest evidence-based guides on metabolism, nutrition, healthy aging, and natural ways to optimize your health. And if you know someone who can't start their day without coffee, share this video with them. It might completely change the way they think about their daily cup. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.